Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenyan Revolutionary, joining you another day. I hope everyone is doing well wherever you are. So today, I had something prepared, but I kind of not changed it up a little bit, so we'll just go with the flow. But I want to focus on what's going on tomorrow, because tomorrow there'll be a hearing. When I say a hearing, it will be the impeachment hearing that will be had tomorrow by what's his face? The courts. I'm sorry. Let me get it together. Let me watch it. This is holy water. Tomorrow there will be the judiciary will. Thank you so much. I see people here. Pritpal Kaur is here. KK was here. Brother Benson was here. And Karibu, and all of you who are watching. Karibuni. Tomorrow there will be a hearing by the judiciary on the impeachment case of the deputy president, Gachagua. And people are speculating. We don't know what will happen. There's two possibilities. Well, three. I think one realistic one. As I've said here before, if we are to go based on evidence, there's not really a good reason why Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua should be removed from office. KK ameanza uchokozi kwa comment section. But anyway, that was funny. For anyone who's joining right now, please, if it's your first time and you're getting this recommendation, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. We talk about Kenyan politics, all politics. And after you've subscribed, put your notification on so whenever I come in, you can always find me here. And number two, go ahead and like the video. And after you've liked the video, please share it with your friends. Tell your friends to come in so we can have this discussion about what's going on in Kenya. I was going to make a case for this grand conspiracy by the political elites in Kenya, but I will stick to what's going on in Kenya because people want to know, people want to hear what's current and what's happening. I wanted to build a case around why I believe this whole Gachagua fiasco is nothing but a well-written script that is being followed by the protagonists in this film that we're watching. That is William Samoei Ruto, Raila Odinga, Gachagua himself, and do not forget the director who is playing behind the scenes, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. These are all things that are going on the back. But let's stick to what's happening today because there's the discussion now and we are going to, starting tomorrow, there'll be high political activities. Not only are we going to hear from the courts regarding the impeachment of Deputy Rigathi Gachagua, there's a lawyer who said he has somebody who is willing to move a motion to impeach the president of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto. So that is also a possibility. And I think Tony Gachoka, is also going to have a day in court because he has a case there against the Adani deal. So that also will be going on tomorrow. I don't know if they will have a virtual court proceedings tomorrow because the last time they did, a lot of Kenyans got in and were saying, Adani, to hell with them, and they had to stop the court proceedings immediately. So I don't know if this time they will have it physically. We'll wait and see what will happen. So a bunch of stuff is going to happen this week. So much political activity. But I want to start with this whole Gachagua thing because that's the elephant in the room. And now even the Nelson Harvey, the former president of the LSK, who initially said that once the Senate votes or votes to impeach Gachagua. Now he's kind of changing his tune a little bit. Okay, he's getting into his senses. I don't know why. What made him say that or think that it will be easy? Because at first, initially, he said that only the legislative body has the say in this impeachment and not the courts. But apparently, maybe he might be changing tune. Let's listen in. Let's get started. As we get started, as I said, make sure you like, subscribe, and do all the good stuff. Let's get started. Ama namna gani? Aya, na mniambie kwa comment section if you have anything, a pressing issue that you want to share with the people. Please let me know, or you unataka kuchangia for what's going on. I will bring you in. Say what you want to say. If you feel like debating, come in and debate me for the heck of it. I will try my best to keep up with you because it's been a long day, but I will do so just because I'm at your disposal. Okay, so let me start. Let me start with this video right here with Nelson Harvey giving his view on this matter. Ama namna gani? All right, let's get in. Let's get started. Let's get going. All right, Nelson Harvey, give us your view here. Yo, you Nelson Harvey, kama mnamjua.
Of course, welcome. So let's start with it, because a lot of Kenyans need a country that is moving in as far as the constitution is concerned. Let's play in more action. And now here it is into the weekend. Here's the big question. Who is the deputy president? We got the Gachagua, Kithure Kindiki. Who is it, Gachagua or Kindiki?
In the court of public opinion, Kenya is a tale of two deputy presidents.
Public opinion.
Public opinion.
Okay.
That is Rigathi Gachagua, who enjoyed
Am I audible? It seems like there's no volume. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me just get this configured here. All right, let me just try here one more time. I don't know what's going on here. I'm sorry for that, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Wow, this sucks. All right, let's do this. We'll do this real quick. I'm sorry for that. Apologies. Let me just replay this clip again so you guys can get it. I want you to get the full gist of what I'm talking about. Hold on. Just give me a second. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Let me replay that. Thank you for notifying me, Brother Benson. Nice seeing you. Friend of the show, please, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go join and watch his channel and subscribe to his channel. Very, very good show, political show.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for creating time to be here.
Good evening. Welcome.
Oh, of course, welcome. So let's start with it, because a lot of Kenyans need a country that is moving, as far as the constitution is concerned. Less play and more action. And now here it is. Here's the big question. Who is the deputy president? We got the Gachagua, Kithure Kindiki. Who is it, Gachagua or Kindiki?
In the court of public opinion, Kenya is a tale of two deputy presidents.
Public opinion.
Public opinion.
Okay.
That is Rigathi Gachagua, who enjoys a court order staying his impeachment, and also who enjoys a court order suspending the assumption into office of Kindiki Kithure. But the reality of the matter in law is this.
Mm-hmm.
Rigathi Gachagua ceased being deputy president upon the passing of the vote by the Senate. So he's no longer the deputy president. Is Kindiki Kithure the deputy president? No, he's not the deputy president.
Mm-hmm.
The deputy president assumes office upon taking oath. So to answer that question with precision, we do not have a deputy president in Kenya right now. And that portends a fundamental crisis.
So you're saying in clarity that at this point in time, as we're speaking tonight, we do not have anybody in the position of a deputy president in the country?
No, we don't have a deputy president.
Let me take you back a little bit when you started with the public opinion, remarks, and said deputy president enjoys certain court orders.
Yes. The deputy
Why would he enjoy them if he still doesn't remain as deputy president?
You see, a court order
yes.
is valid until otherwise set aside. We have two orders. One order has suspended the decision of the Senate impeaching Rigathi Gachagua as deputy president.
All right.
Another order has prohibited the assumption into office by Professor Kindiki Kithure as deputy president upon nomination and confirmation by the National Assembly.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the legal conclusion that can be drawn from this scenario.
All right, because the question then is, because we had this interrogation as well, the same day we saw this stay order
Yes.
that spoke about the impeachment by the Senate at that level. But there are conversations about it saying it has been overtaken by events based on the timeline on which it was, it surfaced and when it takes effect. And let's also look at the one that has come then that blocks the swearing in of Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki. When it comes to the timeline of each of these orders, is there any of them that has been overtaken by events as you also bring them into the conversation tonight?
Now, the question as to whether or not these orders have been overtaken by events is one for the court to determine.
All right.
A majority of us lawyers have delved into that argument and reached the conclusion that the orders have been overtaken by events. It's erroneous for any lawyer to take that position because there is a court order. A court order will last until otherwise set aside. And it's not long until such a time as the court will have the opportunity of giving a finality to this matter.
Here we go now. The question is coming in as far as the constitution of the three-judge bench is concerned. A lot is expected to happen tomorrow within the courts. In fact, we're looking at the numbers of petitions rising from 20s to now about 35, even as reported by a reporter. And the question is now, what are we expecting tomorrow in the courts? What are they really going to be looking at, even as the deputy president, once again, has changed tune a bit? Earlier on, he had his reservations about the Senate, and now him and his legal team has reservations in as far as this three-judge bench is concerned. What are we looking at tomorrow in the courts, Wakili?
Well, the Constitution prescribes that everybody has the right to have a dispute concerning him or herself determined by an impartial court or tribunal. Now, Rigathi Gachagua has submitted this dispute to the High Court. Now, if he has any concerns as to the partiality of all or any of those judges, or any other petitioner has partiality to any or all of those judges, then what has to be done is for an application to be made to that court to indicate the facts that confirm the fear of bias, whereupon the court will consider the matter and make a decision. It's not an issue that is to be addressed by correspondence from party or a party's advocate to the Chief Justice or to the Deputy Registrar or to any of the judges. That is improper. A formal application has to be made before the court. It must be demonstrated that there is bias for it to be detained and allowed.
So you're saying this approach by writing the letter to the registrar, was it really prudent?
It is inappropriate.
Inappropriate, your words, Wakili.
Yes.
Very interesting. So then if it was inappropriate, then how are we expecting the courts to behave? Because he's actually bringing in the Chief Justice, Martha Koome, at this point in time, because she constituted this three-judge bench. If I follow earlier on, at his own request by his legal team then. Now, what happens? Will the courts then take into consideration what you're terming as inappropriate tomorrow, or will they proceed?
The court is not a post office.
Okay.
The court must be moved. You do not address letters requiring the court to consider your complaint of bias by way of letters. If there is no formal application before the judges tomorrow, then the courts will proceed as if there's no challenge on their constitution.
Is there a timeline for his legal team to act in as far as the application is concerned and not through a letter to the registrar?
Of course, it has to be done expeditiously because what has been set down for hearing tomorrow is the inter partes hearing of the two applications. One by the Deputy President former, and the other one by third party who moved the court on behalf of the former Deputy President.
All right, now let me just look at this. And there's a concern here of there's a case to be heard on October 24th.
Yes.
There's another on the 22nd of October.
Yes.
That is tomorrow.
Yes.
In this whole, corridor of justice events, the question is now, I mean, the whole procedure in court will lead us then to knowing if Kithure Kindiki will be sworn in and in what period of time, because the president is given 14 days within the constitution.
Yeah.
In what timeline, or what is the timeline for the courts then to look at all these issues before them, conclude and allow the president to have a new working deputy president?
This is an unprecedented scenario because the constitution does not provide for an avenue for the court to intervene in a case concerning the impeachment of the president. And the impeachment of the deputy president is tailored upon the same fabric as the impeachment of the president. And you may therefore ask this question.
Yes.
Assuming that it was the president who had been impeached, will he have moved to court? It is doubtful the president will have moved to court. But nonetheless, the former deputy president has moved to court. It is his right to move to court.
Okay.
The question is whether the High Court has jurisdiction to entertain his claim and allow his relief. The starting point is he stands dismissed, effective the day that the vote was passed. So ideally, what he will be doing in court is to ask for reinstatement. Is that capable? An order for reinstatement is incapable because it can only be available in a case of an employer-employee relationship under the Employment Act. It does not appear to be a remedy that is available in these circumstances. Then there is need for us to dichotomize the powers of Parliament and the powers of the court. Parliament has absolute power and jurisdiction to determine the removal of the deputy president or the president. No doubt whatsoever. The High Court, on the other hand, has the power to consider whether there has been a violation of rights and freedoms under the Bill of Rights. It follows, therefore, if the former deputy president has submitted his case to the court, then it is incumbent upon him to demonstrate that Parliament did not follow the correct procedure in arriving at this decision. Because irrespective of whether or not Parliament followed the correct procedure, if Parliament is permitted by the Constitution to arrive at the judgment removing the deputy president, then that decision cannot be faulted. And so far, it has not been demonstrated, at least from a prima facie perspective, that the former deputy president was not accorded the constitutional parameters upon which to present his case. He presented his response. His lawyers were able to cross-examine all the witnesses. The only failing was that he was not able to attend in person. But is that a failing that negates the hearing? It is doubtful, because the former deputy president has been heard twice. He gave a press statement where he read all his response verbatim.
Yeah.
He appeared before the National Assembly where he read his response verbatim.
For 2 hours.
For 2 hours. Nothing will have changed before the Senate. But fundamentally, a hearing before the Senate does not necessarily entail the former deputy president being heard by his own mouth. Because compare this. Before the Supreme Court, when you are challenging the election of the president, none of the parties appear to be accorded an oral hearing. Their arguments are taken on the basis of the affidavits and the legal submissions made by the advocates. So to that extent, the procedure and the merit was duly followed. Yes.
All right. Now we'll be following closely your feedback even as you continue this conversation. But Wakili, even as you said, nothing would have been different before the Senate. 2 hours in the National Assembly, 5 hours in the Senate, where we're expecting a bit of cross-examination as well, might have made a difference, Wakili. Though I will come back with that. And there's also a word going around in, respect of public interest. This word public interest, what does it refer to? And are we confusing it maybe at the layman's level with public participation? We'll clarify that among other things, and also with your feedback right after.
Okay, that was an interesting take by Nelson Harvey. I would disagree with him on some few points here. Now he is. Hold on, sorry guys. By and large, what he has said is true, but where I have find it problematic with his argument that he rightfully said that the court does not have the power to reinstate the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua. He makes the point that Gachagua was impeached, which is true. He was impeached by the National Assembly and the Senate, legislative body, which has that mandate constitutionally to undertake that process of impeaching the deputy president, which they did. Now, of course, the deputy president felt that his rights were being violated, and the process in which this whole exercise was undertaken was unconstitutional. That's where the courts come in. That's why Rigathi Gachagua petitioned in the judiciary, which this is their job. The judiciary just cares about if this was constitutional and if there were any rights violated. In this case, Gachagua's rights, were they violated? And did the procedure, was it done constitutionally? That's all the courts cares about, okay? Now, to say that the courts cannot reinstate Gachagua is correct. But if, let's say tomorrow, the matter is heard and the courts review the evidence, check the case, here's all the sides of the story, and come into a conclusion that the process in which this whole impeachment proceedings was undertaken not only violates Gachagua's rights under Article 145, where he was to be afforded to present himself physically and represent himself, okay? So that he can be, examined, cross-examined. And number two, the manner in which this process was undertaken as far as, there was no evidence. Now, I hear this argument again. I hate going back to it, where people are arguing that this is a political matter. You don't need to provide evidence. No. You have to provide evidence. That's why we say, especially at the Senate, their function in this impeachment process is quasi-judicial, which means you can just say, okay, I'm suspecting, I think the Gachagua violated the Constitution. He had gross violations or gross misconduct by having 22 companies, and that's enough to impeach him. No. You have to prove that. So yes, while it's a political process, it's also have to adhere to the Constitution, and they have to produce evidence that actually this man had committed gross misconduct under Article 150, which lays out the reasons as to why deputy president can be impeached. Okay, so that has to be demonstrated. That evidence has to be provided and proved, and without that, I'm sorry, that does not meet the threshold. So if the court finds that the process of the impeachment process was not constitutional and that Gachagua's rights were violated, then they shall undo the process which took place at the legislative body. Okay, they shall consider it unconstitutional, which means whatever was done at the legislative body cannot hold, is unconstitutional. So it's either they go back to the National Assembly and start the whole process again and do it the right way. And once they find it, if the ruling is that the whole process was unconstitutional and that Rigathi Gachagua's rights were violated, then automatically Deputy President, or we want to say ex-Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, retains his seat as the Deputy President of Kenya. They don't have to say, we are going to reinstate Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to have his seat. They don't have that power. They can only rule on the matter that came in based on the petition. So they'll just say, hey, we have reviewed the evidence. We've looked at all the process, how it was undertaken. It's unconstitutional. And that automatically means Rigathi Gachagua retains his seat, because by effect, what had happened at the legislative body shall have been undone just by the mere fact that the court has pronounced itself so. You understand? And Nelson Harvey gave the example of the petitions that, the qualms that happened in the Supreme Court during the election, petition that, between Azimio and so forth. Okay. Again, if you look at Maraga and even Koome, it's not up to the court to say that, hey, Raila won or Ruto won. They can only rule based on the evidence and upholding what the IEBC had declared, because in their view, based on what the evidence and the cases that the two parties or two or more parties presented, they felt like the IEBC was right to, there was no reason to believe that the IEBC declared the wrong candidate. Okay, because the IEBC is an institution, independent institution that is tasked with that job to declare who wins the election. Okay, so the courts cannot say that Raila won or Ruto won. They can only say that, okay, we are either upholding the results that IEBC announced, or they can say, hey, we find enough evidence to suggest that the results that were announced by the IEBC were not factual. And that effect means that whatever happened to IEBC does not stand. So that's the same thing. It's not the court's job to reinstate Gachagua. They can only say, hey, we looked at the evidence and what happened at the legislative body was unconstitutional and Rigathi Gachagua's rights were violated. And just by saying that automatically means that everything that happened at the legislative body is null and void. And automatically that means Rigathi Gachagua still legally is the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. So Harvey is basically arguing that no matter what the courts say, what the legislative body did will stand regardless of what they... You see what I'm saying? Which is nonsensical, okay? Then if that's the case, then Rigathi Gachagua will be wasting his time to go to the judiciary. There'll be even no reason to go to the judiciary because that's like, you know, I mean, yeah. So Harvey, I don't know if he's trying to be mischievous or he's willingly trying to mislead the viewers in this case, or maybe he's just ignorant. But I can't believe he said that. But hey, maybe that's how justice feels, or he's paid to say that, but whatever it is. So yeah. Now, on the issue of, again, another example that he said that he was basically implying that this whole case of Gachagua, because you had him say that Gachagua basically was not denied the right to be heard and to be presented physically at the Senate level, at the Senate. But he said that does not mean that, you know, the Senate should stop the process. They could still go on, and they did the right thing by impeaching him. And then he gave that lazy argument that, hey, you see in the case, again, the electoral case, when there's this electoral disputations at the Supreme Court, usually the main guys don't go there. They're usually represented by their lawyers, which is silly because this is a different court case. This is an impeachment. That is a electoral dispute at the Supreme Court. You know, yes, this one can go to the Supreme Court, but I'm just saying this process, under Article 145, especially if you look at the impeachment process, it requires the deputy president to show up physically and be cross-examined. That's why Orengo brought himself there to just do that, okay? So, again, that day, he was, for whether you believe him or not, he was sick. He was poisoned or whatever the case is, and he went to the hospital. Now, the Senate still had time because there's no there's no timeline as to when this process of impeachment should be done, okay? So if he was poisoned and he was sick, they should have given him time and wait to see if I can recoup and present himself there so they can, cross-examine him. But they did not afford him that time. They went ahead and went on with the vote and impeached him, which actually now justifies Rigathi Gachagua's case of being denied the chance to, show up physically and make his case. I think we should look at, it will be helpful if we look at the Article 145, because maybe that will kind of give us an idea what we are talking about. Like the real, what it does say, because, when people throw around article this, article that, you're like, what does that article mean? What does it mean? And no, a lot of people don't really care to look. So it will be helpful. These articles are not that long to read. You can just check it out and see what it says, okay? So let's read it very quickly. Let's read the whole thing, and then we'll get back to some other stuff, okay? Now, let's read. Oh, it's quite, yeah. All right, we shall read it. Let me put it on the screen so you guys can follow up. Please like, share, subscribe, and do all that good stuff as I continue to give you what you need. All right, here it is. Article 145, removal of president by impeachment. Right? So let's go. Can you guys see it on the screen? I hope you can. I hope you can. I hope you guys can see it on the screen so we can go through it very quickly. Is it readable? I hope it is. All right, let's go. All right, number one, a member of the National Assembly supported by at least a third of all members may move a motion for impeachment of the president on the ground of gross violation of a provision of the Constitution or any other law. B, where there are serious reasons for believing that the president has committed a crime under national or international law. Or C, for gross misconduct. Okay. 2, if a motion under clause 1, supported by at least 2/3 of all members of National Assembly, A, the Speaker shall inform the Speaker of the Senate of that resolution within 2 days, and B, the President shall continue to perform the function of the office pending the outcome of the proceedings required by this Article 3. Within 7 days after receiving notice of a resolution from Speaker of National Assembly, A, the Speaker of the Senate shall convene a meeting of the Senate to hear charges against the President, and B, the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. So it will have been prudent of the Senate to have this special committee of 11 to actually investigate the matter to see if really the deputy president violated this, the Constitution. Now, 4, a special committee appointed under clause 3B shall investigate the matter and B, report to the Senate within 10 days whether it finds the particulars of the allegations against the president to have been substantiated. 5, the president shall have the right to appear or be represented before the special committee during its investigation. 6, if the special committee reports that the particulars of any allegation against the president, A, has not been substantiated, further proceedings shall not be taken under the article in respect of allegation, or B, have been substantiated, the Senate shall, after according the president, an opportunity to be had, vote on the impeachment charges. 7, at least 2/3 of all members of the Senate vote to uphold any charge to the president shall cease to hold office. Let's just focus on 6A. Okay? Because if the deputy presidents have been substantiated, if the charges are substantiated, the Senate shall, after according the president, in this case deputy president, an opportunity to be heard. Shall. Remember that guy? Shall. Not could, would, be, shall. Okay? Which means it has to happen. Okay? It has to happen. Shall be accorded only after. So Article 145, down there at 6B, it says it has to be substantiated. The Senate, after according the deputy president, in this case, an opportunity to be heard, vote on impeachment charges. Okay, so they can only vote on the matter after the number one, the charges have been substantiated and the deputy president has been accorded an opportunity to be heard. In both cases, it never happened. In both cases, that never happened. So you tell me. That's why I'm telling you this thing might not go the way the members of parliament, legislative body want. This was a kangaroo court. Okay? Now, there's something that I wanted to talk about today. I don't know if I should touch on it or just wait till later, because it has something to do with this whole Gachagua talking about attempted assassination on him. Mambo ya poisoning and all this stuff. There were people who were talking about it might be true, it's not true. I would like to play a video that I played yesterday about a young man who was talking about how this political class do things and how they play into tribes and all that. But let's start with this one first. I will be very, very brief, but I want to drive to the point as fast as I can so we can get it. Now, let's look at this thing right here.
My only plea, don't plan against my mother, don't plan.
Sasa eti wewe sasa unaanza kunithreaten mimi, ati utanifanya nini? Bora usiue watoto wangu, lakini mimi na wewe tafadhali tuheshimiane.
Because they should tell me what they want with my children. Yeah? Do they want? They've removed their security. Now I hear they want to remove their personal weapons. So what? Are they wanting to do that because they are planning something? And if they are planning something, yeah, my only plea, don't plan against my mother, don't plan against my children, plan for me. If it is me you want, leave them alone. What do they have to do with anything? Yeah? How many people are licensed to hold weapons in this country? Yeah? Did they not follow the right procedure? Tell us, tell the world. If it's a question of illegal weapons, then tell the world, yeah, these people have illegal weapons, right? But if they are licensed weapons, how many people in Kenya have licensed weapons, even foreigners? All right? See, they follow the procedure, right? See, you withdrew their security, so they're not supposed to defend themselves. What do you want now?
My brother, I helped you to be president. Leave me alone. Leave my children alone. Do whatever you want, but let me live. Let me look after my children. You can do whatever you want with the country, but allow me to live. Because I was there for you when you needed somebody to be there for you. When you were in trouble and you needed a man who could stand with you, I stood with you, with my family. You have paid us in kind by being so cruel and vicious against us. We are simple people. We are a very small family. Let us be. Do whatever you want, but please, Mr. President, I beg you, don't kill us. Don't kill my children. You have caused me enough pain for the last 1 year.
Okay, so there was a guy here who yesterday came in and told us, mentioned an incident that happened during Uhuru's rule. It is said that Uhuru Kenyatta, there was a plan to assassinate Uhuru Kenyatta. And most people never quite heard about that story. I actually never heard about it. But apparently that is something that had happened before. That's something that had happened before, okay? By the way, for those of you who are wondering, Ruto is supposed to meet Koome on Tuesday to discuss alleged intimidation of judges by State House operatives over Gachagua's impeachment case. How convenient. But anyway, that's not what I want to touch on right now. Let me focus on that threats that these folks have been talking about. You heard Gachagua talked about, Mr. President, usiniue na familia yangu. Uhuru Kenyatta also, when they went to, the police went to his house. You remember that when, they found some guns or whatever, they were all registered and all that stuff. He also said, hey, don't come for my family, come for me. Ruto, before that, you saw that he was complaining, yes, but here's something that I never knew. There was, I don't know how true this is, But during Uhuru's tenure, it is said that there was somebody who tried to get rid of Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, here's a little clip, not clip, but news article that maybe most of us do not know about, but I kind of found it on the internet sphere. Let me enlarge it so you can see I hope you guys can read what's going on over here. I'm trying to make it as large as possible. This is an article that was written on May 22nd, 2020 through africaconfidential.com. The plot to assassinate Uhuru. Here it is, quite brief. We'll go through it very quickly so that, I brought this up because there's a guy who came in here yesterday and mentioned this issue, and a majority of us were kind of shutting him out. We were saying, no, you're making up stuff. But he's right. Apparently there was a story. I don't know how true this is, but it is. All right, very quickly. A damning story from Uganda's Internal Security Organization, ISO, has claimed that Ugandan intelligence officer intercepted an assassination plot on Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta on 19th January 2019. A source known to this writer provided a detailed account of how President's security team delayed takeoff by almost 4 hours, seeking to neutralize the assassin's threats. The plot involved a lone suicide bomber who had already gained access to the airport as a casual worker just a week earlier. His initial assassination plot was set for January 23rd, when the president was scheduled to travel to Eritrea through JKIA. But on Thursday, 17th January 2019, the assassin got wind of burial preparation plans at the home of the late Bruce Odhiambo in Koru, Kisumu County. He brought forward the assassination after he got a call from Atbara, a city in northeastern Sudan. Okay? The assassin's plot was to detonate his device after President Kenyatta landed at JKIA from the burial in Kisumu. According to papers seen by the source, the bomber was to position himself camouflage as casual worker right at the first gate of the presidential pavilion and detonate himself. The source claims that the impact of the explosive would have been so devastating that nobody within radius of 5 meters would have survived. On the material day, the said ISO officer got wind of the plot, and while in the company of the Israel businessman in Kisumu, he rushed to Koru and approached a bodyguard to a Kenyan opposition leader and warned him that the president was and his boss shouldn't board the presidential jet back to Nairobi. On the way back to Kisumu International Airport, the bodyguard passed the information to the opposition leader at the airport. The opposition leader feigned that he was bidding farewell to President Kenyatta, whispered something to his ear, literally grabbed President Kenyatta by hand and took him to his car, and they drove away, leaving security personnel bewildered. President Kenyatta apparently asked only that nobody other than his close protection unit to follow him. I bet you've never heard about that story, huh? Some people have been talking about it. So this whole thing of assassination attempts is not quite peculiar. This is something that's part of Kenyan politics. Now, a lot of people are saying there's rumors that this might have been Ruto behind this whole assassination attempt. But again, we can only ask questions. It's possibility. It's possible. Because at the time we were told Ruto kind of were they enemies at this point? Maybe. I don't know. And if there was an assassination attempt, what steps did Uhuru Kenyatta take after finding out about this? Did he investigate to find out who's behind it? Were the plotters of this whole thing, the bomb or whatever, was he arrested? What went on this case? So when Gachagua says that, he was poisoned, it might not be an outlandish claim. It's a possibility. But again, there's also questions. Why not? Why didn't you mention that before? So, yeah, those are the questions that I have to ask. Now, there was a young man who made this point yesterday. And I think it's very, 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 I listened to him and I think he made a huge point. Here he is. I'll play him again. If you were here yesterday, you probably had him.
It is now clear for him now. Listen, Rigiji is saying that it is now that he realizes that he was dealing with a vicious president. As in, it is now clear for him now that he was dealing with a vicious president. But let me say something which is which caught my eye, that there were multiple attempts to end his life. One of them which caught me was the one he spoke about, that he went to Kisumu. He had gone to Kisumu. So apparently, back in August, end of August, he was at a function. Okay, he was attending to his duties in Kisumu and all that. Then there were agents who are security apparatus agent, who were sent to poison his food, and he was to be killed that particular night. Let me tell you, what, if that is true, this is what it could have meant politically. Because here in Kenya, we are so tribal. This is what it will mean politically. A narrative would, kama Rigiji angededi hiyo siku angededi Kisumu, a narrative could have been spilled along. It could have been promoted that Luo Nyanza people wanted Rigiji dead so that they can get the post of the deputy president. I am telling you, that is what will have happened. We are dealing with an administration which can only survive by dividing people. I've started seeing people online. There is a faction of Mount Kenya people who are blaming Raila Odinga for Deputy President Gachagua's, the former DP Gachagua's ouster. Now, the people of Nyanza again, most people, some people from the side of Nyanza are starting also to retaliate. Now, can I tell you where Raila Odinga and Ruto survive? They survive on politics of division. Time wenye wameona kwanza Wakikuyu na Wajaluo wamegawanyika vizuri. That is where their politics thrives in. That is where it thrives. Now, time yenye waliona watu wameshikana, hii time ya majenzi, time yenye watu wawili waliona watu wameshikana, they had to come together. They had to come together. And then now I can see why Rigiji was ousted, so as to bring a narrative of division. That is the first thing. Second thing, of course, Rigiji, of course, is not a person who you will always tell, do this, do this. I've heard him saying that he's only been ousted because he spoke his mind, which to me, he looks like somebody who, it's true that he's a person who speaks his mind. But I can tell you, if Rigiji died in Kisumu that day, in his residence in Kisumu that day, where the politics could have been so bad. I think you can remember the rumors where last time, where when Uhuru was still the president, and his helicopter was to crash in Nyanza, I think in Kisumu again. Why was somebody doing that? Because they wanted to say, they wanted to bring a narrative that a Kikuyu president has been killed in Nyanza. Now the politics of division in Nyanza, it could have been very fresh then. So let me tell you, guys, hawa watu wenye wako online, tuelewane. Bro, you don't know what you are doing. Kama we ni mtu mwenye saizi you are like trying to divide, you're still trying to divide along ethnic lines. I have seen a certain lady here online akisema ati ana blame Raila for the impeachment of Gachagua. That even if Raila was elected and Martha Karua was the deputy president, the plan was still to impeach Martha Karua. Maze, mimi nimesikia hiyo nikasema enyewe, here in Kenya, we still have a very serious problem. And that serious problem, two communities, I mean nitawaambia, two. Ya Murima na Wamaziwa. Ni Wamaziwa ama ni nini? Those two people are the biggest problem in this country. Biggest. Because we can't move forward. We can't. Kama sio hizo community mbili, we can't move forward. It seems so. Yani vitu zisimame because of them. Everything should be about them, especially the Murima people now. They're now saying that they should never, ever, the Murima people are saying they should never, ever think about negotiating about the post of a deputy president. They
Sorry. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I'm very interested in this particular comment, which says the Gen Z movement wasn't about unity even within Gen Z itself. It is still had a tribal undertone and was about the government. It wasn't really tribeless as many think. I don't know. I can't comment on that because I really wasn't in the ground. So maybe you're right. I don't know. I know that initially when Gen Z started, of course, the people in Jacaranda were trying to make it seem like, oh, sisi Wajaluo, we've already been on the streets, hatutawasaidia, endeni peke yenu. Kama mnaenda maandamano, mwende maandamano peke yenu. We are not joining you. Because sisi tukitanga maandamano, nasema ati tunaharibia biashara. Basically, bringing again this ugly monster called tribalism, make it seem that, oh, it's always Luos who go to the streets and they die, they get killed, and when they call for a mandamano, the Kuyus don't show up because they have businesses. So when Gen Zs were coming out, the paid parrots at Jacaranda, I mean, as entertaining as they are also being used by these politicians to, what are the seed of tribalism? Keep it going. That's why you saw those people were saying, oh, nyinyi saa Gen Z mnasema ati mnataka kwenda maandamano. Na sisi tukitanga maandamano amtoke. So there might be some truth in what Victor is saying. And again, if you look at the people who might be behind this Gen Z thing, and I'm not saying that it was, to me, it wasn't overtly tribalistic in its, the way from somebody from outside looking in. Jimmy Wanjigi being, one of the big supporters of this movement. And not only that, Kimpuru somebody who was Rogers Kimpuru or Rogers Mpuru or something like that, was in one of the roadside, speeches when he was with the deputy president beside him, and he was saying, kama hamjui mambo ya Gen Z, sisi ndio tuliorganize, sisi. He used plural, sisi. And the deputy president was right next to him, okay? And the deputy president didn't stand up and say, hey, what are you saying? Wait, what are you saying? So I was like, huh? And remember when this Gen Z thing was happening, I kept on asking, who's really behind this Gen Z? I'm not against it. I fully supported the Gen Z, and I still do support Gen Z. Don't get me wrong, because to me, I never saw any tribal thing behind it. Victor, you make a point that it might have that tribal undertone behind it. I can see that. In any Kenyan movement, in Kenyan anything, watu wakikuja pamoja, there's always that monster called tribalism creeping in. So I kind of see where you're coming from, Mr. Victor. Now, this is what I'm saying, though. This is what I'm saying. To the point, the larger point that I want to make as I, conclude my case here. And I think Ashley, yesterday when she was here, she made that point, and I've been making it for many years. We are being manipulated by this political class. We are being manipulated by this political class. Anytime the Kikuyus and Luos come together, whoever they support always win. Yes, we know the story behind the two communities having their own tension, political tension or difference after Tom Mboya died. The division started there, and that has always gone on. But again, Moi fell when Kikuyus came together with Luos in 2002, with Kibaki, Tosha, and Raila, or whatever. The country overwhelmingly got rid of Neo. Not to single out, not to say that other tribes don't count. That's not what I'm saying. Understand what I'm saying? We've been in tribal politics for a long, long time. And Gen Z, whether there was any kind of tribal undertone behind it or whatever, to me, it was something that scared the political class shitless. Regardless of whether they had their own tribal thing going on underneath it. I think it scared the political class shitless. That's why all of them, Raila Odinga had to run and join Ruto to support him. And after that, you could see that after that handshake, they ramped up the tribal card, the Kalumes, the Robert Alais were very active on Twitter and in public, making it known. And after the Nenio appointments, they were very loud and making it known that, Wajaluo. And you can see even in the impeachment process, why was Orengo there? I mean, it's so apparent that they want to play one community against the other. It is by design, and it is right. I believe that this Gachagua impeachment is designed to do just that. It kills two birds with one stone. What it does, not only does it make us not focus on the Adani stuff. That's number one. But number two, it defeats what the Gen Z were attempting to do, which to have a tribeless, leaderless, partyless movement that actually was threatening to take out Ruto and the rest of these political elites. And the elites got scared, so they had to come up with a plan to destroy this movement within itself by compromising the influencers within it, or the people who seem to be the leaders, and also ramp up tribal tension. And the only way, the easiest way to do so was to impeach Rigathi Gachagua, because that, in effect, as unconstitutional as the process under which it was taken. It is clear. You can see now. The communities are divided. You know, Wakina Kaluma are very making it linear. They're very ramping up this political stuff. They're saying, oh, Gachagua wache kusema watu wa Mlima. You see, and it's so clever. It's so cunning how they did it, because Gachagua was the number one advocate for the watu wa Mlima. Watu wa Mlima. Let me just say that. Okay, whether he is in the ground, the Mudamaki or not, or the top whatever, that's immaterial. The point is they wanted to show that, hey, wewe Gachagua unajifanya wewe ndio mkubwa wa Mlima. We shall impeach you just to spite the people of Mlima. We are going to mistreat you so that we can create this division between communities. And we are going to use the Luos to do so. So we are going to get Raila in the kwa ninio kwa ofisi, aingie kwa handshake, alafu tulete wakina Kaluma. In fact, this rumor of making Otiende Amolo the speaker, or whatever the case is, it's designed to do so. So that now, and you'll see, Wakina, who's this girl who usually used to work for Uhuru Kenyatta on Twitter? You'll see she'll start writing things against the Luos and vice versa to create this tension. It is done by design. But who benefits after this? Who benefits? It's the same Kenyan political elites, because they maintain power, and that's how they keep on ruling us as long as we are caught up in this tribalist political divide. Polarized along tribal lines. That's how they maintain their power. Chief Nigo says, we Mount Kenya people could see this as clear as day from the word go. Gachagua impeachment, getting rid of him, scapegoating. Perfect. And guess what? Gachagua is playing along with this script. That's why I'm saying, do not be surprised if this impeachment case is dragged on for the next 3 years or something like that. This is how they're going to drag it. And I say this, the court will undo this thing, and Gachagua will still remain the deputy president of Kenya, but he will get the same treatment Uhuru did treat Ruto. This scripted thing, beef, fake beef at Yawaskizani. That's why I usually ask, what really Ruto na Uhuru walikosania nini? It's not clear. Gachagua na nani walikosea nini? Not really clear. But that's when some of us, we might disagree, because some people have a reason to believe that kweli Gachagua is like this, that walikosania hivi. But to me, in my opinion, and I might be wrong, like I said, Flamingo already told me that I'm always wrong and mean. Shout out to Flamingo. So yeah, I might be wrong. Yeah. Anyway, I'll open the lines for at least, what time is it? For 30 minutes. If somebody has something to say, DJ Modana, Joel, kuna kusema kitu, you can jump in. Give me your view on this. Because to me, as I see it, Gachagua is in on it, on this script. He's on it. Because you know what? Somebody posted today. Why is Gachagua now? Yani saizi ndio amejua ati Ruto is merciless or whatever the case is. Na he was supporting him when they were walikuwa na chapa Gen Z. Kwani ameona ninio leo? He has seen the lights leo. I mean, Gachagua na wewe, eh? He's part of it. I always say, I know most people disagree with me, but I always say this is a whole script. It's about maintaining power. These elites, they want to maintain power. Sawa wanajifanya tu wamekosana, vita hapa, wanachapana, lakini huko juu, they know what to do. Because they have to control you through your difference. All right, let's read. Oh, Miguna wrote something 23. Let me just read this real quick because this is interesting. This is really interesting. Let me say what Miguna said here 37 minutes ago. All right. Miguna says, hold on. Those attacking Gachagua's expose on Ruto are helping Ruto. Ruto is weak and desperate. We should urge everyone with information about his many egregious crimes against the Kenyan people to publicly speak about them. It shouldn't matter whether those exposing Ruto are his deputy president, cabinet secretary, principal secretaries, or any other person. We need to weaken, defeat, and remove Ruto from power. We won't succeed in removing Ruto from power as soon. We won't succeed in removing Ruto from power as soon as possible if we muzzle or pelt those exposing his crimes with stones. All stones should rain on Ruto and his cronies. We will deal with Gachagua after we have defeated Ruto. Ruto must not manipulate Kenyans into attacking his enemies. Right now, Ruto is the existential threat to Kenyans. Let's focus. Let's be strategic. Above all, let's be fair, objective, have fidelity to what is good for 99.9% of Kenyans, which is Ruto must go now. Hashtag that is. Yeah. Sawa. There was something also I was looking for this in these tweets. Wow, okay. So National Police, the DCI, invitation to appear at the DCI headquarters. Okay, never mind. I'll read this later. I'll do this for tomorrow. I wanted to do something else. Let me see. There's something I wanted to write. Okay, let's see. This is so Saturday. Okay, this is Waiko also saying, sorry guys, there was a tweet I was looking for, but I'm looking at the new. Africano is saying Gachagua just pretends they're all the same. Absolutely. To me. So basically, Miguna is basically saying, hey, we should not for the neo. Kama Gachagua is spilling the beans, he should. And I support that. If Gachagua is spilling the beans, I spill yote to angalie. But to me, I see the same script because this is the same trick we fell for last time when the so-called bromance between Ruto and Uhuru happened. Everyone was sympathetic to Ruto. And Ruto was voted in. And now we are dealing with Ruto. And now Ruto is going to mistreat Gachagua for the next whatever years. Okay? While Gachagua will be spilling beans and Kubali, whatever, and will be sympathizing with him more, because now he'll be working with the Gen Zs, because we'll be like, you know what? Gachagua is on our side now, he's whatever, and we'll start to be sympathetic to him. Then, before you know it, he's going to be running against Ruto and saying, I know how to deal with Ruto because I was his deputy president and we shall, whatever. Then he'll be voted in. Then when he's voted in, ataendelea na mambo yake, and he will fall out with his deputy. It will be the same game, okay? That's why I'm like, no. We have to be clear. As much as that's okay. Let him reveal whatever he's revealing, but yeah. Okay, speaking of Adani, this is what I want to read here. This is what I want to speak here about Adani. Nelson Amenya again. So Nelson Amenya says here, this also pertains to the Neo, Ruto and all this crap that's going on. Africanos, Yeah, Ruto had a fake beef with Uhuru, absolutely. Because I've always argued if they hated each other, if that's why I have questions. If Uhuru Kenyatta, somebody wanted to assassinate him, and he found out who it was, why? If it was Ruto, he should have gotten rid of him. That's why I'm very, 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 very careful with these people. Chief Negos say the sun we keep being thrown back and forth between these wretched politicians, and it's why we can't seem to move forward. So frustrating. Yes, we are. Unfortunately, that's what we do. The saddest thing that's previously tribeless guys have now been drawn into picking sides, especially my Mount Kenya people. Gachagua is just as bad as all, but Mlima guys are now defending. Yeah, and this is the result that they wanted. This is exactly what they wanted. They wanted us to feel sorry for Gachagua, rally around him. Then guess what? He will be Gachagua will be now the opposition. Because remember, Ruto was the main opposition now, because once Raila met with waliangia handshake na Uhuru, Raila was seen as the government, and now Ruto was seen as the opposition. Okay, now what's going to happen again? Now once Gachagua to survive in hiyo kitu kesho kwa kotini, Gachagua will be automatically seen as, hey, he has a survivor. I'm a survivor. He has not been impeached. And he will be mistreated na hizi dramas. Atakuwa anaonyeshwa madharau kininio wazi. He's been ninio, and people will sympathize with him. And he will be the opposition now, because Gachagua also will prop up himself and act like, mi ndio nimejua kudili na Ruto, mimi ndio opposition, I can lead this country in the right direction kwa sababu I've been fighting Ruto and he's tried to renew, blah, blah, blah. The same thing Ruto was doing with Uhuru. Okay? And before you know it, he's going to be the president. He will be rigged in. Then we'll have to deal with Gachagua again. That's why I'm saying, let's not buy into this. This is a whole new. Now, Nelson Amenya said something here that we need to read very quickly. I will read it to you. Okay, so he said, leaked emails from Nick Wachira, CEO of Oxygen, reveal an elaborate strategy to sanitize Adani interest in Kenya for the next 3 months. He even goes ahead and says there are 4 more Adani projects in the pipeline. One of them is Mombasa Port. Okay? I learned that there was sending a journalist to India to do a documentary on Adani, but State House stopped it. This journalist interviewed me at some point too. #Stop Adani. Here it is. Now you see your story, whatever, this journalist that was talking to Nani, Nick Wachira. See, Nick Wachira is writing to Amenya, is saying, hey team, we worked on the attached plan with the Wangechi and Patience, and it worked very well for IBM. I advise that we put our byliner thought leadership program for Adani Energy Airports and the Shah in the attached format. The thought leadership activation program is structured on the weekly basis for 3 months. We are clear about here. You see the thing? 1, objectives, deliverables, and dates, and who is responsible, and pitching timeline. 3, collaterals and media asset, white paper, op-ed, infographic, expert bios, social media posts, photography, and videos. 3, monitoring, evaluation, KPIs, key performing indicators, and reporting to client. The attached plan helps with tracking on deliverables. 5, it is great planning tool that reduces the haphazardness of their reputation and keeps client and agency focused on the job to be done. Don and Tom action this. A, outline the story ideas behind the 10 op-eds, features, and explainers. We need to break down the Kenya Infra Challenge, energy, airports, ports, roads to Wananchi. Believe me, we have 4 more projects in the pipeline. B, identify the experts that will own them from. So you see how they are Ninio. When I break down these old stories at Ninio, the Adani stuff. Now your story Adani. You guys can see it. In continuation, that's this. Okay, so here it is. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the Ninio. So Adani are not done. Adani wants to take over every part of the Kenyan sector. I'm telling you. So that's what I'm having. Anyway, So easily, while we are busy with Gachagua and all this thing, this whole Gachagua thing might be, used to focus, to divide, not make us focus on forget about Adani. But again, tomorrow, I think, like I said, Gachoka, or Tony Gachoka, I think his name is going to fight that. We'll bring that thing in the courts, and it will be debated. I don't know if it will be televised or not. We'll see. We'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, it's been a slow day. I see people here. But I thank you so much, Chief Niggas, Africanos, KK, and everybody. Victor, also, for making a good point. Tomorrow is another day. We'll have all this Adani stuff. We'll have Riggy G story. I don't know what time the story will be. Ninio will be broken, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, absolutely. Chief Negus says we have Machiavellian psychopath for a president who knows exactly which buttons to push to get Kenyans off course. Yes, he does. And he is doing it, so we can't do squat. That's right. Yes, and he's not the only player in this. That's what I'm saying. It's all of them. All of them are playing into this. All of them. One last video of Mutuse, who was greeted very, very, very happily. What people are happy to see him. Mutuse. Did you guys see Mutuse? Mutuse was greeted properly. Apparently, Kalembendile's wife also passed away, so Mutuse went to the Ninio. Mutuse alienda mazishi huko, and things didn't go quite peacefully for Mutuse. So even huko Ninio were not happy with it. Here's Mutuse, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. He's the one with the Yoko Kofi Otorongo.
What is good?
Okay, Maggie Kala, I agree with you, says, I say this, this impeachment is to distract Kenyans so Ruto can continue to sell Kenya. And remind you, and that's why, hold to this point. I want you to remember the statement that I'm telling you today. Write it down, save it. This thing will drag. Is it drama za Ruto na nani, Gachagua? It will not end today. Kwa sababu they have to prolong it, it will be a protracted process, so that our focus remain on the drama between these two, while Adani quickly wachukua hizo vitu. Now, very interesting, Ninio hapa nasema, I saw something yesterday that I agree with. Adani and Ruto are a front for the World Economic Forum. Remember, BlackRock and JP Morgan Chase are opening branches here. Okay, yes, hint, that's why JP Morgan is opening a branch in 254. Okay. BlackRock inachukua kila kitu. There's BlackRock and what's the other one? Vanguard haijafika Kenya. Kabisa, this is a hostile takeover of our country. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, interesting times. That's why you'll see history of Gachagua. It will be for the next 3 years till 2027. It will be a long one. It will be a long one, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Kenya was sold a long time ago, and Ruto is just selling what is left. This started after independence with the political class. That's true. Long time ago. Long time ago. If anything, I think it's a matter of between the sellers, they're exchanging hands. The foreigners who own Kenya, the ones who are like, okay, the Americans are buying from the British are buying from. Well, American, British, the new regime, they are one of the same. There's no difference. Okay, America is an extension of the British Empire. The British Empire reports to the Vatican. Okay, the Vatican reports to the Venetians. You can do your research on that. I'm not going to bore you with the whole point of this, but it's a long news. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist. You do your research, reach your own conclusion, right? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, we'll follow the drama. We'll be here. We'll be here. As Pep Guardiola says, I'll be there. We'll be there. Okay. Maggie Kala, thank you guys. I will sign out. We'll come in tomorrow. Leo, you're like, what am I today? It's Monday. I wanted to open up the forum, but it's kind of dry. But it's all good. It's all good. Kesho. Tuonane. I'm again. All right. Peace and blessings. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tutachambua mambo ya Gachagua more. I'm out. Subscribe, share, like, comment, and all the good stuff.